Hi friends, this is a bonus session. I told you some time ago that your business, in order to be successful and have a good consumer experience, should over-deliver. And that's what I'm doing here. I had my last video as a wrap-up session, and now it is about monetizing your IP rights, your trademarks. Monetizing has three aspects for me. One is a pledge, to have a trademark as a collateral for a loan. The other is license, and the third would be the assignment, transfer, or sale of a trademark. I think these are the main ones you, as a lawyer, you may come across more often than other items with regard to trademarks. Well, the filing beside filing and enforcement, naturally. So let's do this. The first is a pledge. So you have an intellectual property right. Trademarks and intellectual property right. Okay? So the stress here is on property. That is a property. It is an intangible asset in the accounts. Your accountant will look to intangible assets and their goodwill and the trademarks and the patents and the copyright, etc., is all in there. Now, it is a kind of property right, and with a property right, just as a car or the warehouse or whatever you have, you can do what you want with it. And the European law is not an obstacle to do this. You can do as you see fit with your property. Now, the first thing that would be, if you are tight on cash flow, if there's a problem with the cash money, and you need some cash, then you could put up your trademark as a loan. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. It is even foreseen with regard to EU IPO to have it in REM, right? So what is to do? What is to be done? Well, you have a trademark. What is the evaluation? Well, that is a difficult issue. We don't start with that. But you have a pledgee. A pledgee is the one who loans you X money, whatever is your need is. Well, you made the request, and the pledgee looks at what have you as a collateral, and you present them the trademark. And they will then ask an independent expert, a kind of forensic accountant, to make a evaluation of the situation of a trademark. Is your trademark a long time on the market? What is the turnover of your trademark? Is there any infringement against your trademark, infringement claims or whatever? So they make an evaluation and they come up with a number, and that is the number you could get as a loan from that pledgee. If you don't like that pledgee, go to another pledgee who might come up with another number. So this is not a mathematical 1 + 1. This is in discretion of the pledgees how to react or interact with you. And then you would make a pledge agreement, right, with a pledgee. If you come to an understanding, a pledgee agreement, and then you would, probably the pledgee would insist that the pledge is registered in the EU IPO if it is a European trademark, or it is, if it is a national trademark, it will be with the corresponding national office. Now, this is one issue here. I need to put out. This is not European law, what we are talking about. It is always national law. So European law is not regulating the pledge, or is not regulating the license, or is not regulating the sale of an intellectual property. They are mentioning in the trademark regulation what the sale is. Yes, you can sell your trademark, but the conditions of the sale and what the applicable law is, etc., that is not something which is up to European law. So it is substantial national law you have to trade with. Now let's come to the second issue, which is the license. License is very much known and it is a current possibility for trademark owners or IP owners to use and monetize the trademark, the intellectual property right. Now you have a license agreement, right, which is on the bottom of it. It's a license agreement, and on the license agreement, together with the licensee or licensees, there may be more of them. You can have a free contract, whatever you think is good for you, and if it is good for the other, then that is what is being contracted. There are not government intervention in it. Now, what is the contractual conditions, the normal conditions you would think of is what is the IP right, what is the goods and services you want to put up for the license agreement, what is the license agreement exclusive or is it non-exclusive, is a certain territory involved, is not a territory involved, is it for whole Europe or is it only for a certain area? Is the timeline? When does it start? When does it end? Is there a timeline already foreseen from the beginning, or is it open-ended? And naturally, the conditions of the financial conditions and the conditions on how you want to carry out the license agreement, etc. So these are the main topics you would normally think of. In every model, it is inside there. Now, the second, I want to lay out some things which are not so obvious to you, but what should be thought of as well. So the first is to register. Do you want to register this license agreement with regard to the EU IPO, so that it functions in EU IPO, is publicized within EU IPO? There's a proper mechanism for doing so, but it is optional for you to use. The licensee has no particular interest in it, so it is up to you whether you want or you don't want to do this. What is your strategic considerations with that? Well, I don't think there is much to say about this. If you are a non-European company, so you are far away, so to say, from Europe, where all things may happen with regard to the European trademark, right? Then you may want to know your competitors or others within the European Union, other actors, that you are represented here in Europe by a European company, so that you have a caretaker in Europe who takes care of your interests here in Europe, rather than being someone who is in India or in South Africa and thinking the competitors, well, there's nobody here who takes care of these interests, so let's do whatever we want to do. The company in India, they will not know, they will not get to know, or they will get to know whatever we are up to after only 1 year. So that would be one strategic consideration. So if it is a possibility to register with EU IPO, then, well, you can do this. There's 200 euros for the registry, and then it is. So one thing, important thing, you will have to provide some details, but such as territoriality, from when to when, so the timeline, the IP right, the goods and services, etc. But you do not need to present the license agreement. So the license agreement, we understand that there are some financial conditions mentioned inside. You don't want to divulge to everybody, so it is better that you take care of you, with you. So you don't need to publicize. You don't need even to give the license agreement to EU IPO. So this is on the registry. The territoriality, I told you about this. You can be on one territory, on the other territory. It depends on your strategy, what you are up to. whether and the distributor, if it is a distributor, for example, a distributor who is good in that market and you're not good in that market, well, that would be a license agreement to put on with it. Sub-licensing, that is a thing you should think of. Well, if you want to allow the licensee to sub-license to another company and collect inferior, in reality or in theory, inferior royalties to yours and then pay the royalties to you. If that is something which is good with you, well, you have to think about it and have the corresponding statement being done in the license agreement. Now, these are issues you should think of with regard to license agreement. The partial license agreement is with certain goods only, right? Certain goods and certain services. And, these are issues to be taken care of. And then the third, we have the sale or the assignment or the transfer of the trademark. Now, it can be a complete transfer or it can be a partial transfer. Again, it is up to you how you want to organize it. The transfer is an assignment or a sale, as it is with regard to the trademark, and is being, well, you think of it as a two-step. One is the agreement, the sale agreement, the assignment agreement with the other party, and the second step would be the registry in the EU IPO. So a complete or partial sale, or you have a sale with goodwill, or an assignment with goodwill, or an assignment without goodwill. Assignment with goodwill is practically a complete sale, but an assignment without goodwill, that could be, for example, a company let's take some international example. A company in India has a trademark Tanana for jewelry, right? And it is reputed in India for jewelry. So it is in contact with a Pakistani company which is interested in buying that one, but has no jewelry in fact. So they would probably opt or propose you to make a sale without goodwill, that give them the possibility to make any other product, not jewelry, but any other product under the trademark Tanana. You see the difference, right? So the international, that is one thing in a parallel to look at, the international law. What is the international law to be applicable? It can be each one of the European Union. There would not be much difference between one or the other. I couldn't see that I would recommend, the one of Romania over the one of Cyprus. They are more or less harmonized. So, although there is no harmonized directive, but this is all, so long time and tradition in Europe. There is no problem in one or the other. The most important are the agreements you have made, right? The license agreement or the sale agreement. So one of the most important thing is what is the sale you can be done. So what is the amount you will think you can head out of it? I won't go into it. That is something the forensic accountants will take care of. You have independent advisors on that, and depends on so many circumstances of the case. So they will be taken off, and they will be expensive, I might add. So what are some strategic considerations? Well, you will have a sale if you want to go out and move on to something else. That would be a sale. But if you want to retain something, you can either use a license agreement or you can use a partial sale only of the trademark. But partial sale, you get into conflict probably with the other party over long term. So probably a sale would be better. A complete sale would be better if you want to move on to other products or to another business model or whatever it is. Now, license, there is a possibility that your distributor is much better in that region, or they can manufacture and distribute much better and much cheaper than you. And you don't want to take care of that nitty-gritty of the market or advertising or so that can be left to the exclusive licensee. So that would be a strategic consideration to consider. So that was my bonus. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and now it's over, unless I receive sufficient feedback from you to make a Q&A session, or to make an interview with somebody from outside in order to know more about their experience on European trademark to share with other actors around the world. Thank you.